Welcome back to StirgeTropia and episode 10 of Profitable Mining in the Entropia universe. Today I'm going to do something a little different. The last video sort of inspired me to do something a little off the wall, I suppose. And it's going to turn out to be a pretty cool thing, actually. I'm pretty certain. Well, since I've already done all this, I'm just recording the audio now. But here I am on Rocktropia because I'm going to go into Hell and measure the length and width of a Hell mine. And my reason for doing that is I want to be able to see how many drops it takes at half the distance of your normal finder, which is 55 meters, which for the F.O.M.A on the surface, which is 27.5 down in indoor mining, so down at Hell or F.O.M.A or other places like that. So that is my plan, is to see how many drops it takes to cover the complete area of a biodome and a hell mining. It's not a dome, but it's an area, a cave. So let's do just that and see what happens. Okay, let's start in one of these hell mines. They're all going to be about the same, so we'll start on the western wall, and we will put down a waypoint as we've done that already, and go across to the eastern wall. We see it's 403 meters, so roughly 405 meters across. These aren't perfectly rectangle, so we have to do the best we can. Then we'll run to the south wall here, lay down a waypoint, teleport up to the northern wall, and do exactly the same. Not exactly rectangular, but pretty darn close. And why I'm doing this is, once I know, and this one's what, about 838, so about 840, so I can get the whole area of a hell mine, which, so 405 by 840 turns out to be 340,200 square meters of area in a hell mine. And so if my finder, F105 finder, has a radius of 27.5 meters down here, because in indoor mining it's halved, so it's 55 normally, that'd be 27.5, I can calculate the number of drops it will take to mine the entirety of the hell mine. Now, if we take a look at this image here by Lilu, that's on the Planet Calypso forums, take a look at this. This is the best honeycomb type coverage that you can get. And if you mine down in Hell using this pattern, you should be able to get, with a 55 meter diameter, which is that 27.5 meter radius on your F105, you should be able to cover 79% of that 340,000 square meters down in a hell mine. So that's 79%. That's not too bad, right? That's good coverage. And so if you're looking at it and you're mining with this type of honeycomb pattern, that should give you, you should be able to cover about 79%, which is about 113 drops, or roughly 169.5 PED to cover the entire, or 79% of the area. That's not that expensive. I thought it was going to be a lot more when I started this. Now, if you want to cover all of the area and get all the spaces in between, it's going to be about 143 to 144 drops, double drops these are, and that'd be about 214, 216 ped, something like that. So not too expensive, but that's not actually how I'm not going to do it as exact. I'm going to do it a little bit different. Let me show you that. So I have a couple of options. If the width is 405 meters for a hell mine, then you can get about 7 drops, as in figure A, with a 55 meter diameter or 27.5 meter radius. So 7 drops between the two walls. And that's going to give you that sort of A-type coverage. But B-type coverage would be overlapping in between. So that would end up being 14 drops. And I prefer method B because of the amount of area that you can mine in. So A is 78% coverage, sort of in the rectangle of those circles. And then B is 96% coverage. And the reason I'm testing it this way is because my finder says I'm only going to get 22 meters down here, and I don't understand why that's not 27.5, but that's something I may have to go back and do a little bit more research on. But I prefer the B method for coverage down in a mine like this, because the finds are so small and they're literally the chance of missing something is high because of those little tiny areas. So that's my plan. You don't have to do it this way. Obviously, you can do it any way. You can mine it any way you want. I'm just throwing the information out there, and I'm just showing you what I'm doing and what kind of fun I'm having, and how this will change the amount of PED you pay to play in this area. So if you really want to come out here and you want to say, oh, I want to get hit 78%, then do that. But if you want to get 96% or 100% or whatever, then there are options, and this is just a graphical representation, although poor, of how to do that. Okay, this is just me running between the eastern and western walls, dropping down the 14 waypoints to cover the width. There's a little paplon to cover the width of this one hell mine. I think I'm in Graybird. So we get 14 waypoints laid down, and roughly a straight line, so that I can get that 96% area coverage that I showed previously. And that's what I want. If there's anything in here, I want to hit it. And the reason I'm doing this, the width-wise, which I would normally do, the length-wise, is to just show, for the sake of brevity, that, this is how you do it. This is how you set it up. And maybe this will help if someone ever wants to try to do it this way. But this is just going to be fun. The hit rate should be about 5%, so I expect to get about 1 hit. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Here's the first drop at the wall. I may run into some demon hackers in here. Then I'm going to have to sort of run out of my path. As you can see, there's one over here. Yeah, he's coming. So we'll see what happens when we get there. There was our first hit. Little hurricane cocktail mix. Yeah, I got to run this demon hacker off. Well, I come back in a little bit later. And after I run off all those demon hackers, there's a little pile off to the side. There's another hit. All right. There's two. There's a third one. There's a fourth one. Wow, that's a fifth one. Holy cow. 5 out of 15 drops. I accidentally double dropped, so that's what happened there. 5 hits out of 15 drops. Not too shabby. Well, as you can see, I made 119.14 PED on those 5 drops. Well, with what's left over from the probes and so forth. And I only started with 100 beds, so a little bit of profit there, which is a bit of a surprise, right? Expected 1 hit and to have a loss. So I would have to say the hit rate was in my favor, and I got lucky today, because that's not the normal behavior down here in Hell. But maybe there's something to be said about the 96% coverage of an area over those 15 drops. A lot more experimentation. That just gives you an idea of what happens down here. Let's go to F.O.M.A. Here we are, final approach to F.O.M.A. I don't come here often because, as a general rule, I don't have the skill level to be here. Need to be like level 40 mining or better. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Going to go straight to, let's see, biodome 12. Measure the width of this biodome. And we turn around and it is 479. So we'll call that 480 just because that looks, it's probably about right. So 480, and then next up we'll need to go and measure the length of this particular biodome, number 12. And if we look back, we see, turning around, and we see this is about 989, so we'll call it 990. So we multiply those together, that 480 by 990, and that gets 475,200 meters squared. Pretty good. So if we want to go for that 78% coverage, like we saw early on, you'll do 157 drops, double drops, at about 235.5 PED. That's not a bad gig to cover an entire biodome for 240 PED. However, if it is your goal to cover 100% of the area, you will actually do 200 drops. That's kind of interesting that it came out to be a whole even number, but it was 200 drops for that area. So the cost for double drops, 200 double drops, is 300 PED. So you can mine an entire biodome for 300 PED. It's a lot cheaper than I imagined it would be. And then I don't know what your rate of return would be. Again, it's probably a 5% hit rate, if that, and I am too low level to really do a lot of experimentation, but I am going to do one experiment just like I did in Hell. I'm going to do the width. So let's get to it. Well, by my calculation, it should be about 9 drops for the width. Double drops here. So I'm going to double down for my 96% coverage, and that's going to be 18 drops. So let's see what happens. Hopefully I'll get a couple. I suspect I'll get maybe one hit. I've generally in a dome like this, I get a single hit if I bomb sort of in this way. But I usually lose a lot of ped because I just don't have a lot of ped to bomb with, you know. I don't have the mining capacity, the skill level, or the ped card to mine in a place like F.O.M.A. So hopefully we'll get a little something here, just kind of going along. And you can see sort of my method here is to make sure I'm between 27, you know, it's not going to be exact 27 and a half, but it should be pretty close. And, well, any luck, something good will happen to us. And hopefully we can get some resources to make this video worthwhile and worth watching, right? Because so many people are saying, hey, Sturge, you just don't have it. You don't have what it takes to be mining in a place like this. And you would be correct, except for that. Okay, that was 4 hits in, what is that, 480 meter stretch with 18 drops. That's pretty darn good. I'm happy with the hit rate and certainly happy with the return. I expected 1, maybe 2 hits at the most. So 877.82. And I started with 100 ped, as I did in Hell. That's the same experiment. So not a bad deal. A good day on F.O.M.A, which is rare for me, but I'll happily take it. So I think there's some interesting information out there now that this sort of 96% coverage may have some value, especially when mining in indoor situations like Hell and F.O.M.A. A lot more experiments I'll have to do on this. I'll have to compare it to a 78% run side by side with a 96% bombing coverage run and see how that works out. I probably won't be back to F.O.M.A anytime soon to do that because I'll just blow all the pad that I just earned, and that'll keep me going for quite a while. So I think I'm just going to teleport back down to Calypso and be safe. All right, safely here at Aegis Mound. Wow, that was an interesting run. I hope that was informative for everyone, and you now have a pretty good idea of what it's going to cost you to basically carpet bomb either 78% coverage or 96% coverage in a hell mine or a biodome on F.O.M.A. And it's actually a little bit more reasonably priced than I had imagined. So hopefully that's good information for everyone. I appreciate you all watching. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment and a like. And I'll keep making videos. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.